Hello, friends. Welcome to the continuation of this, the first week of the Swiss rounds of the spoiler tournament. My name is Kern. I am joined by Sinak. How's it going, Sinak?
Oh, it is going.
Excellent.
We have a matcher, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Mercer, well-known commentator, actually just commentated with him earlier this week. And also Acktheboker, who is a household randomizer name. Maybe even your mom knows who he is. He is that famous. So it should be a fun match to see between these two runners. Acktheboker, very skilled, especially in low percent. Huge fan of entrance and modes that really test your routing ability, your execution ability. Mercer, I was actually just looking around on their SRL history, and it looks like that they're fairly new, at least to SRL. They did do the Challenge Cup tournament, in which they came the first place in their group to advance on to the final bracket stage of the Challenge Cup tournament, but got eliminated by Leslie Pro. So definitely a competitive runner as well. Shouldn't be counted out. Although, if we're talking about like favorite and underdog, that's definitely how I'd place them. Is Acktheboker, I think, is a favorite, and Mercer is an underdog. So if you like to root for the underdog, or you just want to know how the matchup fares, that's kind of the situation. Do you think that's fair, Sinek?
I think that's incredibly fair.
Yeah, I have to say I haven't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know, though. Acktheboker, he has part of my name in him, so
So how? But yeah, anything could happen. I mean, it's a spoiler race. The thing that I've been trying to drill into audiences' heads, in case you're new to these races, is that failures and blunders, let's call them blunders, it's not a question of if, but when. So, and how many. They will happen even among the most high-level play. And here we are, starting the race off with a sword in Link's house.
That was a pretty free sword.
Yeah,
you don't usually get that.
Yeah, right. That's not a part of the seed mode, or we did not generate it with that. Yeah, I think maybe we should explain what a spoiler race is in case there's anybody here who hasn't seen one before.
That's a good idea. So for the last 15 minutes, both of our runners had an opportunity to study the contents of the spoiler log. They basically got linked to them as like the race quote unquote started in the race channel. And now they get to take the knowledge that they've learned over the last 15 minutes. They still get to look at that log throughout the entire time. But they've got to come up with a route and then execute that route to the best of their ability, or at least better than their opponent to win. It's a pretty stressful mode. It's not easy to go fast in one of these.
Yeah, that's true.
They can be very intense, but they can be very fun too.
Yeah, what you should expect is like 15 minutes seems like a ton of time, but it depends on the seed, if I'm being honest. Sometimes it's enough, most of the time it's not. So, you might see a lot of routing quote-unquote blunders, or like, oh my god, why didn't get this sword, or they forgot a progressive item, or whatever. That's very normal. That happens all the time, because it's not just like they have a perfect thing, they know exactly what they're doing, they just have to do it. Most of the time, these runners are control F'ing through the log as they play, trying to solve problems that they realize is in their route as originally designed after they've kind of given it a once-over. And then they all have to execute this at a very low percent kind of situation as well.
Yeah.
But
so yeah, notice also is that they went immediately for that tree pole. That was not an accident. They knew that tree pole had bombs. That is actually provided to you in the log that this tournament uses, and that mini Molder cave had quite a bit of good gear in it. And
yeah, nice safety for that cape, and Ice Rod is going to be required to seed. Mobility items routing early is important. It's interesting that Mercer decided to get that hammer from the dam, while as Act decided to get the flute first, but maybe he's actually going to do that now.
I'll give Act the benefit of the doubt on that one.
Oh no, me too. I had two reasons in my head about why that could be, that were totally legit. And I was about to theorize on it, but then I realized he's going to go do it now, so I don't have to theorize. By the way, we should also mention that the runners are not only allowed in this tournament to watch the restream, be in chat, talk with you guys, but they're also encouraged. So they might be here. Say hello to Ack and Mercer in case they are here.
Some players prefer to do that, some others don't. It can be pretty helpful in these races to have at least a kind of a feel of where your opponent is at. That can really affect some of the decision making later down the road, like how aggressively you play versus safely you play.
Yeah,
can be dictated by that.
It's very, very hard to, like, say that you want to have the log open, you're playing the race. Just that is enough for your brain.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you're going to try to track where other people are at, or maybe listen to the commentators on the broadcast, it can be overwhelming. But it can be enough to just like check in and say, okay, how many dungeons has my opponent completed right now? Where do I think I am at in comparison to them? Because one thing you'll notice in this tournament over and over again is that the person who develops a lead, it's kind of like NMG races, in that whoever develops a lead to start, they end up being able to play a lot more cautiously, route in lots of extra safeties, while the person who's behind needs to play even more riskily. And sometimes they can gain up time in that way, but very often that leads to them even losing additional time. But they really don't have a choice, you know. If they're behind, they have to do something.
So Ack just kind of beelined it for those boots. I don't blame him. Early Sphere 1 boots is always nice to have.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that he decided to walk there from the dam. Let's see where he's going to go now. He looks like he's going into Eastern.
This...
As we're seeing some CAC pickups from Mercer here.
And kind of just went in, just cherry picked an item out of there and is getting out.
Yeah, very interesting route from Ack so far. Mercer, meanwhile, getting another sword here.
I mean, that does let him get in the Dark World on Ack's side, which opens up more routing opportunities. And we're going to see Hype Cave.
This might have just been routing in these bombs here, or to the heart as well. Hearts are a pretty good safety to have. I would probably rank them just behind armor in how good they are. But yeah, I mean, it could have been routing that in just for the additional safety. I guess he only gained one bomb in that exchange by going into Hype Cave. Okay, Mercer, meanwhile, is fluting, and yep, indeed, as I suspected, I didn't want to say anything before they started coming here, but are going to route in the boots this way. So it's interesting, you know, the difference here between the runners, Ack having walked over from the dam to grab the boots, Mercer deciding to activate the flute first before coming and getting the boots. I kind of think it's one of those 6 of one, half dozen the other kind of things, where maybe there is one of those ways that is optimal over the other, but it is interesting to see the difference here. Ack now showing us that third sword in K45.
Alright, now we're getting the flute activation on Ack's side. Whereas, yeah, so go ahead.
I was probably just going to say the same thing as you. Mercer coming now to this eastern area, yet also bypassing Sasha's hut, so nothing good there today, looks like.
I think Ack is, yeah, he's going in the well. He knows what he wants there.
Yeah, early swords are a big deal in spoiler mode. I mean, if you consider the NMG route, the route is designed with the dungeons in the order that it is, partially so that you have Tempered Sword in the molecule fight, because just on that fight alone, like, it saves a significant amount of time. When you add that up over all the fights together, and you also consider, you know, dungeon screens and overworld screens, it can be very helpful to have that. Butter Sword doesn't really make a huge difference, but Tempered Sword, the difference between Tempered and Mastered is pretty big.
So what Ack did on this route was pretty good, actually, in my opinion. He actually stayed out of Kakariko until he was ready to do a whole bunch of stuff here.
Yeah, and now he's heading back to, looks like, go to the Dark World, unless there's something in the Lost Woods area that he's coming for.
Yeah. Like, a big thing you want to do, and this is not always possible, because Randomizer be Randomizer, but avoiding backtracking can save you lots of time when you're trying to route out one of these. It's a very hard thing to do well, though.
Yeah. It's interesting to me that Ack with that empty magic bar dash cancels before hitting the tree, which would have had a full magic drop, but I think he might be, you know, probably going to Thieves Town right now, so he's going to get a free magic refill anyway. I don't know why, that just tickled me. Yeah, with the flute, I think, you know, avoiding multiple trips into, say, Kakariko is not going to cost Mercer, like, too much, the fact that he didn't do that, but since you can just easily flute there. But, I mean, at the very least, you're saving, you know, that time that it would take to flute and go to the menu and, you know, potentially. I really don't know. Again, I really don't know how it shakes out, the time difference to walk to Agina from the dam versus flute there. But it's probably pretty equivalent. Oh, it looks like Axe, I didn't even notice this, is using the festive Link sprite.
Yeah, he got turned into a reindeer.
I didn't even know you could.
Yeah. Yeah. For the Festas, we didn't really... Like, all the sprite options were always there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I could get into details of how the website works and how rate restricting sprite selections would be bad, but off topic.
And Mercer also picking up their Tempered Sword here in K45. So it's interesting because they decided to do the route in a different way, but they're doing all the same stuff basically. And I would say that, I mean, definitely because they've kind of covered each other's tracks here, and Mercer's still catching up to where Ack is, you know, physically in the dungeon. Ack's got pretty much like a half Thieves Town lead over Mercer right now. And Mercer's saying no thank you to Thieves Town, though, going straight to Death Mountain, so another bit of divergence here. There's a couple parts of the routing puzzle here that you have to consider as a viewer or racer. One is that, you know, there may be optimal paths, like this question we're having about, oh, do I walk over from the dam or do I flute or, you know, whatever. Then there's also questions of, well, can I avoid logical double dips and do, but then there's even bigger questions about, like, does it even matter? Right? Does it even matter what order I do this stuff in? I don't know which case this is, to be honest, but it is interesting to think about how difficult this routing puzzle can get sometimes.
Yeah, it's like if you're just like sitting there just watching at home, it's like a matter of, well, they have the spoiler log. How hard could it be? They know where everything's at. But then you get into the nuts and bolts of things like Kern just said, and that's what makes these challenging.
Ack picking up that map there from that Maiden's Chest. So that's something that Ack might have done just based on pure muscle memory. Another thing is that, you know, sometimes it's good to open a chest if you're right next to it. If, you know, because maybe what you do in your log is you only mark the things that you really want. like, say, the progressive items, but you're not thinking about heart containers, pieces of heart, stuff like that, consumables that you might want more of. And so if you're right next to the chest, might as well just open it and maybe it gives you benefit. Sometimes it'll pay off and sometimes it'll be a map.
Kurt, did you just see what was in that big chest, by the way?
That looked like a vanilla mitts to me.
Yeah.
Here we go, first boss fight of the mode. Or of the match today, I should say.
As long as you do the same thing every time, the fight will be the same thing every time.
It's like Mercer's wrapping up their Death Mountain check. And returning the mushroom, which we found up there, for a bow.
It was bow number 1. Since V31, there are 2 bows in the seed. The second one gives you silvers.
Yep, so you could... it's interesting how that affects spoiler, because sometimes situations where like, man, this is required, double dip into pot or whatever, or maybe not that way since you can get a different bow. But unfortunately, it also means that we're far less likely to ever see a Mimic clip in G-Tower ever again. And speaking of bow, Mercer's going to go take that bow straight to pod, whatever's here, as Ack checks the back for a Bombos medallion.
That is one of our required medallions of the game. That gives us access to Misery Mire. We marked that earlier in the match. We had Bombos for Misery Mire, and Ether Medallion is required for Turtle Rock. We also know what the 5 and 6 crystals are, and we know our pendants, what the green pendant is. And those are shown on your tracker.
Now, Ack is making his trip up Death Mountain as well, and looks like, yeah, he's going to go straight right side. So the difference here will have been between Mercer and Ack is that because Ack went and got that hook shot before coming up here, he can just hook shot right across this bridge instead of going all the way up and around, saving a significant amount of time in the process as well.
Also, Ack has mitts, so if there's anything he needs in the Dark World here,
that's a good point.
Death Mountain,
yeah,
he'd be able to grab them.
Not looking at the log myself, but yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah, I actually don't know what's up here, so I didn't study it that deeply.
See, that's probably good, because then we can't accidentally help the runners at all.
No, I'll just be completely shocked at all these rupees here.
Is Ack getting his mushroom? So yeah, we'll see if he continues on in Death Mountain, or it looks like he's going to bomb jump, so something's going on.
Alright, you let go of the BE. He's probably going to... So when he goes to the potion shop, yeah, it's probably going to be the same thing Mercer did.
I think he just bomb jumped there via muscle memory, because he could have just fallen down and walked out.
It is a common thing you do after exiting that room there, so that makes... Like, muscle memory can be a really hard thing to fight in these types of races. Because, like, normally you just have, like, a script that you go through. Like, Paradox Cave. Alright, there's 3 different ways to typically go through East Death Mountain, right? But just ninjing that mushroom and getting out, that kind of changes up how you do things, and that happens.
Yeah.
And speaking about things happening, we found a red cane.
Yep. Red cane in pod. And chat asking what was in the chest that Axe skipped in Paradox Cave. It was just 100 rupee in that chest. It is interesting that Mercer is taking the time to get money in that rupee room and did get those extra 300 on Spec Rock. Could just be for the purpose of being able to, buy potions and stuff. Bottles are pretty handy safety in the game. In this spoiler race, particularly, because it's basically like one get-out-of-jail-free card.
So somebody's asking, chat, are the rules still the same as the first spoiler log tournament? Generally, yes. Players get 15 minutes to study the log. We prohibit anything where you're using logic, a script, a macro, something automated in order to process the contents of the log. You need to Control F, or you need to use basically standard text editor functionality to find what you're looking for. It's mostly just to prevent the tournament from turning into a computer science competition.
Yeah, so rules mostly the same. We just added some clarity around some of that language. Mm-hmm. People often have questions about like, well, what if I do this or what if I do that? So that's pretty much it. Basically, if you're trying to get creative at all, then it's probably not allowed. Don't get creative with the technology part.
I did find it interesting Ack went for the lamp.
Yeah, it is interesting because, it's an interesting item to get in a spoiler race when you feel totally comfortable in dark rooms. If it's on your way at all, you just have to think about the time difference of, do I save or lose time in Dark Mire? Even if you can do it, is it going to save me time moving through that room? And then just the fact that you have cheaper, lamp rooms in Ganon's Tower and Torch Glitch and, all that stuff.
Yeah, somebody's saying Ack had to grab Bombos anyway.
Oh, okay. So that must have been in the same area.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he was already in the Dark World. He was routing in Bombos. He could just go to Graveyard Ledge, grab the lamp really quick, and then go back to the Light World, then go in the sewers. I think that's how he did that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty worth Ack getting stuck on that ledge there. That's so funny. Okay, Mercer in the hard turtle room.
Yeah.
Getting a nice lineup there for that torchlight. I've never seen anybody take that route.
Yeah. This turtle room actually destroyed several people last year during the qualifiers.
Yeah, this is like a good argument to learn dark rooms if doing this for the spoiler. But I just want to shout out that route there. It looked like Mercer went wide around. It was really hard to see because the screen was black. But it went like Mercer, looked like he went all the way around to the right and then hooked into the bottom left. If you're holding a diagonal down left input, then that would line you up onto the corner of that hexagonal or octagonal room. I don't actually know if it's 8 or 6 sides. But anyway, on that shaped room so that when you press up, you would be shooting the torch. I've never seen anybody do that before, and that was really sick. So props to Mercer there for that knowledge. Yeah, and gets Helma down. Only took 1 damage. I'm not sure where that was. I think that was even before they got in. Yeah, that was before the actual turtle room. So they could have even been calculated because you don't want sword beams often in those rooms. Nicely done.
All right, and Mercer claiming his first crystal of this match.
Saving and quitting.
Ack,
Okay. Sub 5 hour. I just noticed Mercer's file names. That's hilarious.
that's great.
Ah, okay. So I see the reason for the save and quit now. Ah, okay. Yeah. So you can tell by the little back and forth pump there. I think Mercer's. Oh, okay. It was a little undecided about whether or not to get the lamp. I think they thought, oh, I should have come in through the Dark World. I think that's kind of what was happening there. That's why they save and quit to go to Sanctuary, grab this lamp. Maybe a little later than they might have wanted it.
Yeah, Mercer is committed now to no lamp.
Oh, it's his Bombos that's here. Oh,
Yep.
I see. So this was the decision. Ooh, okay. This is really interesting. Ack does have a lead over Mercer here, having completed all of Thieves Town, even though he's still on Helma fight. It's going to be done soon. So this could be one of those situations where Mercer's like, I can see Ack's ahead. I can't really take the time to go grab that lamp now. Let's just try to cut a corner. And it's going to come down to, can he maintain that pace through Misery Mire without a lamp?
So Ack has crystal number 2 of the match.
And Ack looks like he's going to Mire. One of the other things to consider about Dark Mire, it's not just how fast you get to that room that determines am I saving or losing time by picking up that lamp. It's also the fact that you can do Spooky Mire, which you cannot do in the dark. So depending on whether or not, that's going to actually save you a lot of time, depends on where the keys are and stuff like that. But yeah, without the lamp, good luck doing Spooky Mire.
Oh, also, shout out to that super accessible half magic.
Was that on the desert ledge?
Yes, it was.
Nice.
Yeah, that's half magic is also a really nice upgrade to have. It unlocks your ability just to not care as much about your magic, which could be very free feeling, especially like an Ace Palace where your magic's a premium, especially if you don't have bottles.
Yeah, or weak swords, or yeah.
Yep. Instead, you can just you can use a little bit of magic to open up the shell, and then just basically use the fire rod as a machine gun.
And Ack picking up red mail on the way to get the big key for Desert Palace. So this is pretty safe seed here. I mean, for a spoiler race, we're still only on 5 hearts for Ack, but and 4 for Mercer. But having both mails and 3 swords is pretty nice.
Yeah, the seed has been pretty friendly on the health, now that you mention it. It's been armor heavy.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I wonder if there is health available, they just don't feel like they need it, or, because they have armor in particular. Or maybe there just isn't really good health to pick up.
Yeah. Basically, you're gonna see Ack just destroy these land bolas with fire rod. Maybe. There you go.
Mercer putting that powder to use. Nice little top-up spot there in Thieves Town, which can be such a dangerous dungeon on low percent. Especially when you're coming through this crooked hallway. And let's see how Ack does this here.
now that desert's done, yeah, we're gonna be seeing some Missouri Mire, at least the area of Missouri Mire.
Sounded like you said Missouri Mire.
Missouri Mire. Yeah.
Oh, he goes in for the. Sorry, go ahead.
No, so go ahead. I was making a dumb joke.
Oh, okay, well, so was I. So to be fair, Ack goes in for the heart container. So this is one of those situations where like he may have just decided to route this in regardless, but he also might be listening or watching the broadcast and thinking, "I've got a lead. Let's go grab the heart container. Let's keep it." Oh, Mercer. Having a little slow time in that room there and started to dash on the second tile away from the door, which if it had been just a few frames slower, looks like he would have fallen in the pit there. It doesn't really make a difference. He would have just taken a damage and been at the door anyway, but that was close.
Hey, you know what? At least both of our runners grabbed map and compass out of Thieves Town.
Yeah.
That's like super muscle memory, by the way. I'm not making fun of anybody here.
Yeah, it could be. It could also be another thing that happens quite frequently in dungeons. Thieves Town is one of those places. Is like confusion between which one's the map chest and which one's the compass chest, stuff like that. Where like, you know, if you're not used to looking at the log, you don't do that all the time already. Then sometimes you can get those chests confused as well. Mercer on their blind fight. Takes a hit, gets off script here. And yeah, they do have a invincibility items. They're gonna hide into that. It's a good idea here. Very good knowledge of how much damage each of these things do. So waited till they got down to 1 heart to pop on the cave. Because of course, the more magic you have at the end of the fight, the shorter this cutscene's gonna take.
So if you took a look at Ack's route through Misery Mire, he knew that he had to grab a key. He needed at least 1 key to get that crystal switch down. But he just didn't steal the key out of the pot because he needed to then loop around, go up, and he needed another key later. So instead, he just grabbed the key off the bridge.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he grabbed the key off the bridge. He went and he used that key to get to the crystal switch. Didn't even kill like the berry or whatever, or is it where they call like the blue ones? The things I don't even know.
The Bari.
Yeah. The Bari. He didn't. I don't think he even killed the Bari. He just like stole the key.
All right.
Went back. Yeah.
Sorry, sorry to interrupt here. Ack tried to go for the spooky, did not get it. This was what I was worried about. I didn't want to say anything because I don't want to inadvertently help a runner. But so sorry, Ack. But when he caught the crystal in Desert Palace, that actually changed his altitude variable. That's why I was curious to see if he was going to mirror and flute back to Mire after having done Desert in order to reset that altitude variable. In this situation, in a spoiler run where you're not getting anything in particular from either dungeon you might really need, maybe he wanted the red mail before Mire. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. But anyway, you know, ideally you would go Mire first, then Desert, just for that reason, to maintain the spooky variable. But you could also, like I said, have mirrored after Desert, fluted back, and you still, I think, would save time by doing the spooky action glitch rather than, you know, just have the convenience of walking a little bit shorter route towards Mire.
Eight arrows. Vitreous is down. That's crystal number 4. And some buttery goodness as well.
And Mercer dropping into the Moth of the Fight. 4 hearts, tempered sword, and a couple rod shots, looks like. Oh, misses a first spin there. Now, I believe you don't want to go for a spin with tempered sword on Mothula. Oh, no! That was some pretty fast damage. Like, every time the iframes wore off, they happened to be right over a damaging thing. So that was pretty unfortunate. Now they are low magic, though, and has to either make the decision to go and get more, or... I don't did they use their potion?
I think Mercer's just gonna grab the magic refill that's in this room, where the big key chest.
Yeah, this is some good game knowledge here to know that this is here. So coming over here to powder the bunny beam under the pot.
So one thing to note, if you're going for this the half magic in this room here, you do need to kill at least a few enemies. If you just go and skip everything and leave everything up, that magic will not spawn.
Yeah, the sprite limit will be... There'll be too many sprites on screen. Alright, they're down to half a heart as they re-enter this fight. Yeah, and they choose to take a death heal here. That's a smart idea.
I mean, even with blue mail, 4 hearts is not a comfortable position to be in. So Mercer's gonna have to play this fairly carefully.
And Ack now dropping into the moth fight. Has a very clean time of it, showing off the traditional strat of trying to do a poke dash into a poke on Mothula in order to get like 2 quick hits at the start there.
And that is crystal number 5.
Oh, this time Mercer going to lead with some cape strats, just with that nice, easy invincibility. Try to get some free hits in. He can take another hit for free before he's got to think about quaffing that potion, so now's when he should do it.
Re-equip cape. Yep.
And getting some sword beams here, which are really unfortunate with Tempered Sword, canceling out that damage, and yeah, it gets him the second time here. So actually, didn't need to quaff that potion after all, but, you know, don't not use the potion in that case. Makes total sense to have used it. And gave him the confidence also to maybe just go ham on Moth, whereas before he might try to play more cautiously and prolong the fight. So yeah, as I said at the beginning of this match, it is just like an expected thing, you know, quote-unquote blunders, whether it's routing or it's boss fights or whatever. That is going to happen a lot in this game mode. Expect to see that a lot in this tournament. This is a very challenging mode. Yeah, chat pointing out, it seems like Mercer didn't route any hearts. This could be a couple things, and it would be interesting to ask him after the match. It could be that maybe he didn't feel like he had time to do that in his initial study log period, which is totally understandable. It could also be that he is comparing his route to Ack, and now he does not have the convenience of routing in those hearts if he wants to hope to try to play catch-up a little bit here. And yeah, if I were him, like making this choice to go grab a bottle, if the choice is between this bottle fill up here or the mire shed hearts that say Ack grabbed, I would get the bottle every time, you know.
So Ack is trying icebreaker here. You saw that you got a little bit in the wall, but not quite enough to use is actually fairly deep into the wall. All right, there we go.
Yeah, it looks like he was trying to do it unbuffered at the start. So this is an interesting trick. Most tricks we don't think about in terms of frames, we think about in terms of pixels, especially if you're doing like tight movement. But this trick, that's not true. You don't want to just move 1 pixel, you want to move 1 frame, which is very weird to think about. But basically all it means is you have to have tapped the directional button and released it in 1/60th of a second exactly if you want to do this unbuffered. And you can see that he kind of decided to resort to buffered strats at the end there in order to get the trick. Make it a little bit easier on himself.
A blink it and you miss it, Ice Palace.
Yeah, welcome to 2020, everybody.
Yep. In our post icebreaker world.
Yeah, if you've been cryogenically frozen for the last year, let me just catch you up on the most important things that have happened in the world. Icebreaker, diver down. That's all you need to know. I guess Harapot. Which actually is pretty significant in this tournament.
I would say probably Icebreaker and Harapot are probably going to be the two big changes compared to last year.
Man, Mercer making up some time here in Ice Palace. Still down a crystal or two over Ack, but just really interesting to see, you know, the comfortability, the difference in comfortability between what tech they might have each practiced and feel comfortable with. Mercer getting that not only first try, but does even go for a select buffer, which is the king of buffers, by the way. There are many ways to buffer. Select buffer is the king of them. But doesn't even need it. He gets it the first time. So, you know, ordinarily if you're going to buffer like that, you're going to do it multiple times. You know, open up the select menu multiple times. He just did it once. Nailed it.
So, did Mercer hit the crystal switch?
Oh, uh-oh.
Nope. All right. Yeah, that's...
So he's going to need...
Oh. I'm going to have to either get a big key...
or redo the dungeon. Oh.
Redoing the dungeon.
Yep. Yeah, that is the one of the gotchas about Icebreaker is, unless you're planning on picking up an extra small key and the big key, you do need to flip that switch before you go down.
And Ack is delivering the big bomb. You're going to be rewarded with silver arrows and our required ether medallion. That's go, isn't it?
Yep, that is go. And this is showing us why we couldn't have skipped that mushroom in Paradox Cave earlier and just gotten this bow here for our required progression because, yeah, that mushroom, of course, led to the bow. But yeah, we couldn't have done that because well, we could have, but it would have meant to double dip into pod because we would need to go into pod in order to get the cane, which was needed to do one of the 5-6 crystals, being Mire. Okay, Mire setting up again here with the Icebreaker. Not getting it first try this time, but there it is. Oh, but has an Ack issue where it pushes partially into the wall, but not all the way through.
What causes you to only go halfway through the wall? Is it not being lined up correctly, or I'm just curious?
I think if you've had a particularly cold winter, then the ice doesn't thaw as well. I have no idea.
You have no idea why it's like you only go halfway through?
No, I don't know. My guess would be that you transition on the D-pad too early from like a cardinal to an angled or an angled to a cardinal or whatever.
Okay.
All right. Unfortunately, Mercer is in the same situation that he was before, I believe.
Oh, did he not hit the switch?
I don't believe so. But you can't actually go backwards to here because, yeah, as Mercer's discovering, that door is actually closed from the other direction.
Well, so
Oh,
I think Mercer.
Sorry.
All right. Monk ass.
Oh. I could be wrong about the crystal switch. We're going to find out in just a second here. Yeah, no, he didn't flip the crystal switch. But it looks like he is coming back around to the right side again. So... Yeah, so what's happening here is I didn't want to say anything until I saw he was committing to this direction. But there is a big key in Ice-T, which explains why he came up here before when he realized he hadn't flipped the switch. It's because he was trying to get that big key so he could continue fighting the boss. But there were some faster ways to have got here. Like he dropped down to that ice Pangator room with the double fire bars. If he'd gone south through that key door, which he's about to come up through it right now, then that would have been his faster way than going down and around. Or just flipping the switch on his second trip through, of course. But it's like, that's the thing, is like you feel behind, you feel like you've made a mistake, or maybe your route or whatever, and you don't, you're gonna play even less optimally than normal because of the nerves and the low percent nature of this mode. And because you have one eye on the log the whole time. Okay, Axe slicing through some pokies there with slashes. Oh, what was that death? Oh, that was a freeze-or, maybe? I don't know. I didn't exactly see.
Yeah, I didn't even catch it on my instant replay here, which is Twitch. It may have been a freeze-or. Yeah, chat saying it was a freeze-or. So like freeze-ors, so their movement can debate you. When they move vertically, their speed isn't nearly as bad as when they move horizontally. I think that's how they are.
Yeah,
I know they move faster in one direction than another, so you can get debated by them.
All right, Mercer, flip the switch this time. So what you want to do here is pick up the pot and then go flip the crystal switch to the left. Then go do the icebreaker for folks watching. But I guess he already has the big key, so it doesn't really matter anymore. Act now all the way up on Trinex here. So Gold Sword, if he does backdoor strats and he does them well, like near perfectly, he could get a 0 cycle Trinex. Let's see. Yeah, going for backdoor strats. Oh, very nicely done. That was a textbook 0 cycle Trinex. One of the difficult parts about that fight is that you need to go fast, but you actually can't go too fast. Because if you go too fast and you try to shoot that right head too quickly, it will still have basically invincibility because that head hasn't actually removed itself from the socket. So there's like a very small window that you have to time that correctly.
The power of Gold Sword.
Yep.
Like
only possible.
Yeah. There's not very many places where Gold Sword is super helpful to you, and that's one of them though.
Yeah. Still not like gonna save you the game or anything like that. It just saves you a cycle on Trinex, but it is like actually substantially helpful, yeah. Oh, I think it must have been, I wasn't watching the screen again on Mercer's side, but it must have been this freeze-or that he's about to enter in this room here. Because if you go just straight at it, yeah, if you go straight at it, then you're going to get hit by it. So you have to go like wide around.
Now I was going to be able to use the key.
Ooh, that was... Yeah, just use the keys that he's picked up on the way to squeeze in here. But yeah, it doesn't have that safety, that potion anymore. So just 5 hearts, normal magic. Oh god, freeze-or.
Freeze-or, please.
Yeah, little known fact, freezers can actually be nudged by Samaria blocks. And hook shots, and boomerangs, and bombs. Doesn't do anything other than nudge them, but... So I don't know, I don't think Mercer can even take a single hit from a puffball in this fight.
They do 4 on blue mail, right?
I'm not sure.
I don't. Or is it 3? I don't remember. I know that he doesn't have enough health. You're right.
Yeah, I'm not good with damage tables. Nice.
All right,
okay.
there we go.
All right, Ack ripping through Ganon's tower. I mean, he's just been soaring here. I've been so fixed on Mercer the whole time, but I've been missing out on all the cool Ack tech.
I like that word, Acktheboker.
Fun fact: that's where his name comes from.
Acktheboker.
Ack tech, and then he just put Boke in the middle of it for some reason.
I see it now. Alright. Ack is working his way through the gauntlet here.
And Mercer, is going to go in and get that heart container after all.
It's a good call at this point.
Yeah.
Especially since he's going to have to do Mire Dark Rooms.
Yeah,
So-
right. He's committed to that lampless. Uh-oh. Ack dashed right into that fireball. But yeah, he's fine. He's got half magic, red mail, bunch of hearts, silver arrows.
It's the one cycle.
Nice.
It's even with silver arrows, that one cycle's not free. There's plenty of ways to mess it up.
Yeah, with that Medusa head in there, just really makes it that much harder.
And then the most satisfying thing to do in this entire dungeon.
That Wizrobe 2 room.
Oh, yeah. Not going for the torch light there. You can actually light that torch on the rightmost side without lifting the pot, apparently.
Yeah, I saw Pika-Pals do it. I tried to do it myself, and it's not easy, apparently. So,
Wonder how much Pika-Pals practice that.
oh, I'm sure. Hours every day.
to save like a few frames.
Exactly. I mean, actually, you know, no joke, that room, ideally what you want to do is have lit the 3 torches and be able to dash south before the firebar can hit you. And the timing on that is quite tight. So if you can save yourself picking up a pot there, that would make that significantly easier. But I don't know how tight it is to get that fire rod shot.
Aga 2 time. And Mercer is going to go ahead and pay a visit to Landmo 1.
Oh, oh,
The dream!
that sweet music crossfade. Did you hear that?
Oh yeah, I heard that too. I was just commenting on that triple as well.
Yeah, that was pretty tight too. But that music crossfade.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was like wondering, like, wait, the music's slightly different, but it's the same.
I think it was this like synced music moment. All right, so yeah, we got some synced boss fights here. Now Mercer heading on to their minor dungeon. Last thing they got to do before trying to head up Turtle Rock. Ack entering the Ganon fight. Ack going for the 1-in-1 strats, even though he's got the gold sword. Doesn't hurt, and it's nice to stay in practice.
And we're in phase 3.
Oh, tried to go for a torch glitch, but it doesn't matter. They have plenty of magic, so I feel confident Ack's going to be able to finish this fight out. Tries to go for double there. I don't know that a double's possible with that pattern. I'd have to ask Ack about that.
Two more, or one more, and there's Ganon for you, or was.
And GG to Ack, finishing the race with official SRL time of 55:34, matching his actual in-game timer. And also can confirm that that's a forfeit for Mercer as well. So good games to both.
Go ahead and bring them both in for an interview.
The sub 1 dream, and well under sub 1 as well.
Yeah, a sub 1 for both required Misery Mire and Turtle Rock, which are both fairly long dungeons.
Yeah.
Especially Turtle Rock.
Yeah, in this tournament, like sub 1 is like kind of, it's almost like the sub 2 benchmark or like sub 6 escape. It's just a benchmark, a convenient benchmark that you're trying to hit. But it is pretty telling. Like if you can consistently sub 1, then you're doing pretty good in spoiler races.
And we are joined by Acktheboker and Mercer. GG's to the both of you.
Yeah, I was figuring, oh, he should be done about now, and then he'd finished. I wasn't looking at any of the restream stuff. I was bad enough without that.
Oh God, I know. I don't know how people do it.
But GG, Ack.
Yeah, GG, thanks. Sorry, my stuff was borked. It's fixed now, I think.
Boked. Yeah, good game, dude. That was very impressive. Nice sub 1, very, very far below sub 1.
It's easier when they're, I don't know, it was kind of free. There really wasn't too much complicated about it. I still like almost ran out of time studying the log too. Maybe
So,
I
yeah. Go ahead.
I was just saying my partner Korek deserves a little bit more respect for having to do this back with 0 study time. I can't even do it in 15 minutes.
Well, to be fair, it's significantly, it's different with anyway keys. But actually, that just goes to underline your point, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't help actually. Thank you for bringing that up to me.
So, a question that I'm curious about too, like speaking of study spoiler period, Is there a moment when you were studying the log and designing your route that you got stumped by something, or that you took a lot of time to try to figure out, can I do this without that, or whatever, and what that moment was for you, both of you?
I feel like I figured out a lot of the stuff along the way. I don't know. The being able to single dip pod, but like not have to go up Death Mountain. I was trying to wrap my head around that, and it took me, I don't know, pretty late into the seed to realize that was not possible.
Oh, I was about to say, how did you pull that off?
Yeah, I wanted to. I was like, hey, what do I need to go up there for? And then I was like, well, I'm not going to get that other bow anytime soon.
I mean, I assume you grabbed it when you were in there for Ether, but...
Well, right, but you had to go to Pod to get Samaria first because of the Vanilla 5.6, yeah.
Yeah,
but
that's why
that
was like, hang on.
Was the only reason you needed to go up Death Mountain, because Swamp was a pendant, and I was like, who cares about the flippers? I decided, like, I wasn't planning on not doing Kakariko until Dark World until a little bit when we started, and I realized that would be a much better idea. Luckily, we had time to think about that while we, go rush to Agina to get your boots.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, which is interesting because you rushed to Agina to get the boots, but you did Mini Molden first, then you did like the Dam to Agina route. Mercer got the Ocarina, did the Kakariko stuff, and then fluted to get the boots.
I wanted to leave and not save and quit out of there, and my fingers just saved and quit. I don't know which way would have been faster there, but I thought with where the mirror was, maybe making one trip over there was fine. I'm not sure. And I thought getting the lamp was really stupid, so I did that too. I was like, I gotta do the sewers anyways. I can just grab the lamp and be able to look at things. It was a little bit of a time loss there, but it felt like the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because I think that the other thing about that is the spooky mire, right? I was saying this on Restream a bit, but, even if you feel confident going through mire without a lamp or whatever, or pod as well, and if you feel like you're going to still gain time over doing the slower rooms in the dark, you can't really do spooky mire in the dark, or at least I haven't met people who can consistently do that.
There's a lot of people out there that do it, actually. I mean, I can't even do it with the lights on, so, but...
Did you figure out why that was, by the way?
I don't know if it was because I beat Desert, or because I didn't get my block down fast enough, or about 30 million boneheaded actions I could have done.
Yeah, I think if you catch the crystal on Desert, then that changes the altitude variable.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was it. I don't know. I was just like, I'm going to shoot a fire rod and just hope for the best.
Yeah.
I also thought that first chest that I opened in Mire was going to be the big key, too. I goofed up on that one, too. I also had no idea that other chest in Ice Palace had a small key. I just YOLO'd there as well. So I forgot to grab the one out of the pot or whatnot after doing Icebreaker.
Oh, no.
I was like, well, maybe there's just a small key in here and I'll look real smart.
Well, I'll make you feel better on that. So I spent this afternoon learning Icebreaker. And I got it first try, and then I realized I didn't learn how to route Ice Palace after Icebreaking. So
did you hit the switch? Or?
No, I didn't hit the switch. I'm like, what the hell? So I was just like, well, where's the big key?
Yeah, you'd figure like 4 hearts, cold stare, that the reason that you'd have to do Ice Palace multiple times is because of cold stare deaths, but it was just, Ice Palace routing because of Icebreaker stuff, which was too bad.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much how I figured this would go. Maybe not the details, but I know what my times tend to be and what Axe times tend to be, and this is a format where those tend to be pretty predictive.
Hey, man, you got Icebreaker first try. I couldn't do that, so...
I got it first try the first and third times. It took me a couple of tries the second time.
So funny, out of context to hear you say,
I
got it first try the first and third times. But yeah, no, I mean, he did gain about an hour over you there, Ack, by getting that first try Icebreaker, at least on the first attempt. But Yeah, no, but what I was gonna say though, Mercer, is that like I think it's valuable, especially these first few rounds of Swiss, unless you have like the most even matchup ever, to just think about it more like it's a solo race, kind of like you're just playing NMG by yourself. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Nah, I knew about how this one would go. I'm expecting to finish. I'm hoping to finish with like 2 or 3 wins in this, and not be one of the 07s or whatever. I think it's 7 rounds, but yeah, this was pretty on point. I actually had to reroute. So you're asking about any stumping during routing. I didn't do it during routing, but after routing, I realized that at some point when I was copy and pasting things in the order I wanted to do them, that I had deleted out getting the Bombos medallion, and I didn't remember where it was. So I had to go back to the website for the spoiler log to find it.
oh no.
Which it wasn't. Fortunately, it wasn't somewhere that was hard to route in. It was just in the back of sewers. But that is why that was kind of at a random time, because I realized, wait a minute, I'm supposed to go to Meyer. When did I get Bombos?
I see. Yeah, I saw you kind of like wiggling around there in front of Sanctuary, because I like in my mind, my interpretation of that was like, oh, do I go get the lamp? Do I go to Dark World first, get the lamp, or do I just go down and get the bombs?
Yeah, well, that, and then that made me. I also rerouted because I wasn't super committed on which order I would do Pod, Thieves, and Skullwoods, and I ended up rerouting to Pod because I wasn't feeling super great about Thieves on 4 Hearts. I have some trouble, not with blind so much as the dungeon itself. And I was like, well, I can get a potion refill because I'll have to go by the potion shop and all that. And then I realized, oh, I've signed up for 4 Hearts Dark Pod. Well, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that was. I thought that was also because like you might be watching in the race and like wanting to try to make up some time, but
No, I knew I was losing this race when I saw the pairing, but it was. I mean, which is totally fine. I actually played okay at parts and really terrible at other parts, which is pretty typical for me. I felt pretty good about the pod contents itself, and then ice was, a train wreck. I also have a thing, which you might have seen me opening some chests. I cannot for the life of me while running remember in dungeons which is the vanilla map chest and which is the vanilla compass chest.
Same, dude.
So the mnemonic, if you guys are interested, is generally if it's an early dungeon, map comes first. If it's a late dungeon, compass comes second. And the cutoff point is the point at which in the vanilla game, or actually even in this game, you would need the mitts to do those dungeons. The one kind of gotcha about that is in Pod, the chest on the right is the map. So I guess, I don't know how you justify that with the mnemonic, but maybe you just have to know that. But yeah, because the compass chest is back in that turtle room. So, I mean, in that way, it's like earlier in the dungeon because it's closer to the front. I don't know.
Yeah, so I was doing Meyer when you got done, so I forfeited before I had to show to everybody that actually, even though I'm looking at the spoiler log, I have no idea which chest it is.
you weren't alone, so. And thank you for explaining that, Kurt.
I think it's the north.
Still just as confused.
I think it's the north of the fire room one, but I'm not sure.
No, it was actually the one on the right, after the big chest, I guess, or the one that's kind of locked by the blocks on the right.
Oh.
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah, that would have been like the 6th one I checked.
Yeah, I also have a copy of like Ian Albert's maps pulled up along with my spoiler log so that I can like actually check the dungeon.
Yeah, I still have to
many
keep
monitors do you have?
dark room maps pulled up, but which I did consult for the turtle room just to find the torch a little easier, because that on 4 Hearts was a little worrying.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And then it was like, I am not dying to almost here. I don't care. That's how I felt about that cold stare fight too. It's like, well, I'm out of resources to get back to the bottom here, so I better win this fight.
Yeah, and you did clutch it out. Good games to both of you. Looks like we don't have any more races today. We have more races tomorrow, though. Couldn't find people to cover the races, so. But anyway, there are more competitions happening. Week 1 of this spoiler mode. Best of luck to both of you moving forward. Sinek, did you have any last questions?
No, it was a good race. All this follow up on the commentator thing, by the way. If anybody out there is watching and you want to commentate, go to our Discord. There's a link to there's a form you can fill out to sign up. We're always looking for voices. So if you think you got what it takes, we'd love to hear you.
Yeah, that's a great plug, Sinak. Or maybe we should say listening for voices. Although that seems a little more like spooky. But yeah, anyway, good game to the both of you gentlemen. And thanks for watching all. We hope you have a good night. And we'll catch you in the continuation of this series tomorrow. Take care.
GG, thanks, guys.
GG.
Right.